Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the City Commission meeting. The time is now 5:32 p.m., and we are calling this meeting to order. It has been duly posted as required by state law, and we do have a quorum as we have everyone present here today. If everyone would please join me standing for our invocation. Commissioner Morales, will you lead us in the invocation?
Thank you. Lord, make us an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. O Divine Master, grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we're born to eternal life. Amen.
Amen.
Ma'am, before we do the pledge, could I ask everybody for maybe a moment of silence for Officer Resendez from the San Benito Police Department?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, we have a full agenda today, and we are going to start off with item 1, presentation of proclamations and recognition award. Christina, if you'll take the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, Commission, City Management, as well as our audience. Today we are starting with a recognition of a Harlingen resident who just turned 100 years old. And so we are celebrating her today. She is over here by one of the entrances, and I'm going to read a proclamation about her in her honor that the Mayor and Commission are presenting her for turning 100 years old. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas Maria Vallejo Cabrera Lerma was born on July 1st, 1923, to Victoria Rodriguez Vallejo and Lisandro Vallejo, and has spent many joyous years in the city of Harlingen. And whereas Maria married the late Martin Cabrera, and they had 5 children, Adan, Felipe, Victoria, Ricardo, and Israel. Maria later remarried the late Jose Lerma, and they had 1 child together, Oralia Lerma Guin, and she is the daughter here present today. Whereas Maria's family continued to blossom, and she is the proud grandmother of 15 grandchildren and 30 great-grandchildren who live in states across the country. Whereas Maria spent some time as an assistant for several families and later worked as a housekeeper at the Sun Valley Motel here in Harlingen. Whereas Maria spent time as an assistant, oh, I read that part already, excuse me. Whereas Maria is the matriarch of the Vallejo family, is proud to call Harlingen home, which she refers to as Mi Harlingen, and she currently lives at Windsor Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Norma Sepulveda, on behalf of the entire Harlingen City Commission, do hereby proclaim today, October 18th, 2023, as Maria Vallejo Cabrera Lerma Day here in Harlingen. And we want to thank the staff as well from Windsor from, helping us coordinate this with her daughter. And we'd like to invite Maria up front to please take a photo, if you'd honor us with your presence, to take a photo as the mayor shares a few words about your 100th birthday.
What a blessing to be present here today with the Vallejo family. It's exciting to know that they're sharing this moment here with our community. And it's even extra special that I learned today that Oralia, her 1 daughter, I've known since I was probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. And so it is incredible to see people that I know in our community and being able to celebrate this huge milestone. And so it's definitely an exciting time. If the commission will join me so we can take a picture with the wonderful Ms. Vallejo.
Happy birthday again. Feliz cumpleaños. ¿A cuántos años? 55. ¿Hay por ahí? No. Bien. So we have this, it is to celebrate your 100 years, and so only individuals like Ms. Vallejo get this wonderful coin that is a representation of your 100 years here with us in our community. So I'm going to hand this over to Madonna. And this is a proclamation.
Looking forward to you giving me my 100-year pin there. When you're governor.
All right, Christina, item B.
Today we are proclaiming Genealogical Society Month, and the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the Rio Grande Valley Hispanic Genealogical Society started when a small group of people wanted to get together to compare and share genealogical information. In 2008, this group became a part of Tipo Texas Genealogical Society of Harlingen and specialized in Hispanic research. And in 2010, the group incorporated and evolved into an independent society whose members are enthusiastically sharing and researching their families' histories. Whereas the Rio Grande Valley Hispanic Genealogical Society is a nonprofit organization interested in promoting genealogy, preserving, protecting all records, acquiring resources for the community, and specializes in Hispanic research and offers help to all those who are interested in searching for ancestors. Whereas the Rio Grande Valley Hispanic Society hosts monthly educational programs, conducts beginning classes, sponsors seminars and conferences, provides speakers to community groups and individuals who do not have to be of Hispanic origin to join this society. The Rio Grande Valley Hispanic Genealogical Society has completed the following projects: transcribed the Harlingen City Cemetery, conducted tours, purchased books for the Harlingen Public Library, indexed Cameron County and Northern Mexico records, published several books, including one of family stories, an award winner, Our Heroes, Hispanic Veterans of the Rio Grande Valley, and will soon be publishing a sequel. The society also published an annual journal and a quarterly newsletter. Whereas the Rio Grande Valley Hispanic Society encouraged everyone to participate and get involved in the community organizations and projects, and hosted the 41st Annual Texas State Hispanic Genealogical and Historical Conference, October 14th through the 16th in South Padre Island. The Rio Grande Valley Hispanic Genealogical Society will be opening a research center in November 2023 at the Harlingen Arts and Heritage Museum, located here at 2425 Boxwood Street in Harlingen. Now therefore be it resolved that Mayor Norma Sepulveda, on behalf of the City Commission, does hereby proclaim October as Rio Grande Valley Hispanic Genealogical Society Month. And we have several members of the society here joining us here today. If you all could please stand to be recognized for all your volunteer service work and dedication to this cause. And we'd like to invite everyone up front to receive the proclamation and take a few photos.
If the commission can join me.
And we would like to invite the president here to share a few words about the society.
Mayor, commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, we are indebted to this community for providing us the venue where we get to pleasantly work in doing what is our hobby, and that is to research all our families' backgrounds. We believe that if we look close enough, we are all related at some point. And of course, if you're a Bible reader, you know why, right? So the fun for us is that we get to find out exactly where the first connection occurred. So thank you very much for the recognition.
Thank
We'll see you again.
Today, we are also proclaiming Down Syndrome Awareness Month this October. And today, joining us, we have Greg and Nelly Elizondo, as well as Lucas and Olivia. If you could please stand. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas on average, about 550 are born with Down syndrome in Texas each year, and about 6,000 nationwide. Whereas there are more than 1,250 individuals with Down syndrome living in our area, and 250,000 throughout the United States. Down syndrome is the most common chromosome condition that results in individuals being born with an extra copy of chromosome 21. While research and early intervention have resulted in dramatic improvements in the lifespan and potential of those who are affected, more effort needs to be done to break the barriers and promote advocacy and access to resources to all individuals with Down syndrome. Local organizations such as the Rio Grande Valley Down Syndrome Association, Easter Seals RGV, Capable Kids, and the Special Olympics raise awareness and education and provide essential services and support to individuals with Down syndrome as well as their families throughout the Rio Grande Valley. Whereas possessing a wide range of abilities, people with Down syndrome are active participants in educational, occupational, social, and recreational circles within our communities. And every individual should have an equal opportunity to chase their dreams and passions, take pride in their achievements, and be included in the community and reach their fullest potential. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Norma Sepulveda, on behalf of the entire Harlingen City Commission, does hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 as Down Syndrome Awareness Month. And we'd like to invite Lucas and his family to take a photo, and I believe that even his teachers joined him during their week off as well. So we want to thank them from Memorial Middle School.
And if the commission can join me. To take a picture. Thank you, and we love your shirt, nothing down about it. That is a great message. I love that. Now this month is Manufacturing Month, so we do have a little video to show.
Ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed members of the community, I'm delighted to be here with you today to celebrate Manufacturing Month here in Harlingen, Texas.
This last week, the Harlingen EDC kicked off festivities by delivering sweet treats to our valued manufacturing partners, a small gesture that symbolizes our close relationship with local manufacturers and to appreciate their investment in our community. And what a special day it was when we welcomed Governor Greg Abbott to our city. His tour of ITD precision stampings highlighted our commitment to growth and innovation. But the excitement does not end there. We partnered with Workforce Solutions Cameron to kick off the Industrial Bus Tour, connecting eager job seekers to manufacturing opportunities in Harlingen. They toured facilities, met managers, and even submitted applications. Throughout the month of October, we will continue to recognize the manufacturing sector here in Harlingen for their contributions and progress to our community. So it is with great pride that I invite you to join us to make this one of the most memorable manufacturing months ever. Thank you.
Thank you to all of the EDC and Orlando for that message. The proclamation reads as follows: whereas the City of Harlingen recognizes the significant role that manufacturing plays in our local economy and the livelihood of our community. And Harlingen is proud to be home to more than 20 manufacturers, each contributing to the diversity and strength of our local sector. Whereas these industrial companies in Harlingen collectively employ more than 700 dedicated individuals, providing them with meaningful and substantial employment opportunities that support their families and contribute to our city's economic vitality. And whereas we recognize the importance of skill development and education in the manufacturing industry, and it fosters innovation, enhances productivity, and prepares our workforce for the challenges and opportunities of the future. Whereas Texas State Technical College plays a vital role in providing technical and academic courses that are instrumental in preparing our citizens for immediate employment and upgrading the skills of our current workforce, thereby enhancing the competitiveness and fostering the continued growth of our local manufacturing industries. Whereas Mayor Norma Sepulveda, along with the City Commission and residents of Harlingen, value contributions of our local manufacturers and understand that their role in driving economic growth, promoting innovation, and strengthening our community. Whereas Manufacturing Month is celebrated nationally in October and provides special opportunity to honor and appreciate our local manufacturers and the skilled workers who make their success possible. Now, therefore, Mayor Norma Sepulveda, on behalf of the Harlingen City Commission, does hereby proclaim October as Manufacturing Month here in Harlingen. And we'd like to invite Orlando, as well as the EDC staff, TSTC, and the manufacturers who are here with us up front to receive this proclamation. Congratulations to them.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to take one with this. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. You got a notification. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3, go. Thank you so much.
No, here we go. Just go ahead. No, we have two.
I want to give a big shout out to our EDC CEO and COO and all of the EDC team. Are amazing, making significant impact in our community and really partnering with our wonderful manufacturers in our community, and especially TSDC. We could not do the things that we do without TSDC. So thank you so much for being here with us today, and know that we appreciate you today and every day.
So this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I think this is something that impacts nearly every family. I think most of us know someone who has suffered from breast cancer, And so joining us here today, we have representatives from Valley Baptist as well as Harlingen Medical Center. And the proclamation being presented reads as follows. Whereas October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month and is an annual campaign to increase awareness of this disease regarding the importance of early detection of breast cancer diagnosis as well as treatment. The American Cancer Society recommends annual breast cancer screenings with mammograms starting at the age of 40. And it is highly recommended to schedule an appointment for this procedure. Early detection saves lives. And whereas many organizations continue to search for a cure through vital research, and physicians, public health professionals, like the ones joining us here today, and advocates continue to educate our community about the awareness and innovative advancements in early detection and treatment. Whereas the Harlingen City Commission recognizes the trauma breast cancer brings and understands that this terrible disease strikes women and men and honors those that we have lost, offers strength to those who continue to live with breast cancer, and continues to work to protect the health of future generations. Now therefore be it resolved that Mayor Norma Sepulveda, on behalf of the City of Harlingen and the Harlingen City Commission, does hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we'd like to present this proclamation to all the healthcare professionals at Valley Baptist, the Harlingen Medical Center, and all other healthcare professionals throughout Harlingen who commit their lives and lives' work to those suffering from cancer. And we'd like to invite them up front to receive this proclamation. Okay. And we'd like to invite the imaging director, Joey, up to share a few words.
Mayor, Commissioner, thank you so much for having us here, and thank you very much for the proclamation. As was so eloquently mentioned by Christina, breast cancer is something that affects almost every family. But the 1 in 8 women have some sort of experience with breast cancer throughout their lives. 1 in 883 men. So it's something that's very common especially amongst the Hispanic population. So the more we can do, not just wearing pink, but doing what's behind that. As we mentioned, remembering those that we lost, helping those that are dealing with breast cancer, and also working to prevent it and screen for it as best as we can. So we greatly appreciate this opportunity to really put the word out and just remind people to get those basic health screenings done. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joey. And now, every month we are doing a Mayor's Business of the Month. So before I tell you who that is and what business has been named Business of the Month, we would like to announce it via a video that we will play here shortly.
So I started back in 2018, maybe roughly 6-7 years ago. Started from my garage. I started there with just a chair, a mirror, and my kitchen sink. I started with clients, a couple here and there. They kept on following me. They kept with my journey. After 3 months of being at home, I ended up at a salon, and they helped me build myself up. We've been open here for about 4 or 5 years, and it's been growing still. We provide hairstyling, hair cutting, event styling. We do hair and makeup, facials, microblading, tattooing, treatments, lashes, a little bit of everything except nails currently. So we are Beautify Spa and Salon. We are located at 101 Store Place Road, Suite D, Harlingen, Texas 78552. Our hours are 9 to 6, Tuesday through Friday, and Saturdays 9 to 4. Mondays are usually by appointment. When I first started, I wanted to beautify people. So when we also came up with the name Beautify, I thought about it a lot, and I was like, I just want to beautify people, just let their inner beauty come out. So it means a lot to be able to beautify them and their feeling and the background behind it, because you get to know each one by one. And just their background stories, it means the world, not only to me, but to them as well.
So please help me welcome Yenny Ortiz. She is the owner of Beautify Spa and Salon. If you could please give her a round of applause. She has been awarded the Mayor's Business of the Month.
And the beautiful ladies can join Yanni up here, because I know it's a team effort. You can share a few words or not, or not.
Well, we want to thank everyone, and especially, the mayor. Thank you for keeping us in consideration. We have worked very hard, and we are happy to be here as a team. And yeah.
Yes. Thank you, basically.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time. I know that you are very busy and you work long hours, and we appreciate all you do for our community. We know that you're also invested in the community. You are a strong woman, an independent woman, woman-owned businesses, and you are a mentor for so many people in our community. And these girls are a ray of sunshine when you walk into those doors. It's nothing but laughter. I know Anna is, everyone knows Anna, and it's a positive thing. And of course, Akia as well, and all the girls. And that's, I think, what it sets you apart, is that there's just, you're happy in your position. You exude happiness, and everyone around you can it's just contagious. And so we appreciate you, and I would love to take a picture with you and the commission.
Yes, thank you.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
The commission has been around so many women.
And how about another round of applause for all the ladies at Beautify? And I just want to say a great job to Callista on putting that video together for Beautify, and we will be sharing that on social media to help get the word out about local businesses.
Oh Oh, my goodness. Awesome. Thank you so much, Christina. It is awesome to see all the wonderful work that's happening in our community and the awareness for these very, very important initiatives, and making sure that our community is aware of all the things that needs to be done. And especially, I just want to reiterate for those that are also joining at home, breast cancer awareness is incredibly important, and I want to encourage everyone on behalf of the City of Harlingen to make sure you get your mammograms. That's important, and I know that there's a lot of opportunities to do that right now. So make sure that we get that done, and encourage your significant others, your parents, your sisters to get that done. I know that I went over, and I'm sorry, Mark, we didn't do the conflict of interest. Can we go back to that? And I was just too excited.
Under state law, a conflict of interest exists if a council member or certain members of that person's family has a qualifying financial interest in an agenda item. Members with a conflict of interest cannot participate in the discussion or vote on the agenda item. Are there any known conflicts of interest to disclose at this time?
None.
None.
Nope.
None. None.
And none. All right, and now we will go to citizen communication, and I do believe that we have some that signed up, and I know that we have having some technical issues, so I'm going to go through the ones that I have here. If you did sign up and I didn't call your name when we are done, if you could just raise your hand, and I'll see what we can do to address you. We will start with Julian Alvarez.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the commission, Ms. Elizondo, Gabriel, nice to see you again. My name is Julian Alvarez. Permanent address is 901 North 25th Street here in Harlingen. Excuse me, I have a little cold. The reason I'm here today is a few weeks ago I attended a city commission meeting where I was informed of a Humane Society efforts with the city and some of the members of the community, where they were talking about alternatives for options for euthanization. And I had an opportunity to speak to the mayor and maybe members of you all concerning something that I did when I was with the Texas Workforce Commission. For those that don't know, I recently stepped down about 9 months ago as the Texas Workforce Commissioner representing labor. And I now serve as the Senior Vice President for Business Development at Lone Star National Bank. One of the things that we did so that we could help the unemployment rate and help women who had been incarcerated was to train them to serve as service dog coordinators. They were certified through the local college, ACC. So what we did was we had women that were incarcerated at Lockhart, and we used a curriculum that was set aside through Austin Community College. And these women that actually went through the program were certified to be service dog technicians. And so what we did there was we took animals or dogs or pets that were in the Humane Society in Austin, and we transferred over those dogs over to, again, the prison in Lockhart. And through the efforts of not only the prison, the community college, but the local workforce board, we were able to certify these individuals. The end result being that these dogs were taken from the animal shelter, trained, and then we donated those animals or those dogs to veterans and people with a disability. So everybody won. Why did we do that? In 2016, as you know, I was appointed by Governor Abbott to serve as a commissioner, and my main role was to make sure how we could get people trained, certified, and that was a task. That was a mandate, I should say, by Governor Abbott in 2016, which you're very familiar with, the tri-agency efforts, meaning that everyone between the ages of 24 to 35 were to have some type of credential, making living wages, making sure that they could all provide a living, a lifestyle for everyone. That was our goal in Texas. Prior to the pandemic, the unemployment rate was 3.7. When the pandemic hit us, obviously we were hit hard, but there were still people looking for opportunities to train. So I had an opportunity to meet with the mayor, and I said, this is an idea that worked in Lockhart, and it's a really good one. Again, we would take those dogs or those animals, pets that we love, that are maybe abandoned or left at our shelter. We would take those animals, take them to a prison, which I thought worked well. Didn't cost anything to not only the recipient of the pets that were going to be donated, the veterans or people with disability, but to the inmates, it provided them with certification. Many of those people that graduated from the program that received a certificate through ACC were employed when they were released. And they were released to different parts of the state. So it was a win-win for everybody. And again, the unemployment rate being 3.7, where were we going to get skilled workers? This was a challenge because at the time we were looking for those individuals that had been disenfranchised. My focus has always been to help those individuals that have a disability or those individuals that have been formerly incarcerated. So this was a win-win. I brought it to the attention of the mayor. I'd be more than happy to assist, but the local workforce boards play a major role in this. And then of course, it's a new innovative idea. I think there's some room for us to negotiate. It didn't cost the participants a nickel. And again, we'd be more than happy to assist you. I would be more than happy to assist you on this endeavor and anything else. I don't know if you have any questions, and I hope I was able to explain that because I saw the vision and there were plenty of things that we did when I was at the Texas Workforce Commission. There are some things that we're doing here in Raymondville. There are some things that we're doing in Roma that we just had a meeting yesterday for an industrial park. So again, I'm very fortunate that my employer hired me as a business development senior vice president to help businesses with opportunities that are out there regarding the JET grant, skills development grant, and other grants that Harlingen has been on the receiving end of. So I don't know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Julian. What we will do is, since this is the public comment, we can definitely put this on at a later time for the commission to have more discussion on an agenda item. But thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Exciting stuff coming out from obviously all the things that you've done in the past, and we're very fortunate here in Harlingen that you still continue to choose Harlingen. I like how you said this is where my permanent address, because we know you're everywhere, and so the fact that you choose to still be here, we appreciate that, and we look forward to having this on an agenda item so we can talk some more.
Thank you. Let me know if I can be of any help. And while I was serving as commissioner in Austin, I lived there 7 years. It always said Harlingen, Texas is my place of home.
I know.
Again, thank you for that. Thank you for the time, Mayor and members of the commission.
Yes, sir. Next, we have Robert Lefwich.
Robert Lefwich, 909 East Parkwood, Harlingen. I just wanted to start off by recognizing the centennial birthday that we just celebrated earlier in the meeting. And I bring that up because there's something that has been the elephant in the room that not one person has spoken of that is probably the most critical thing that's occurred in this city in the last 2 weeks. And that's the fentanyl deaths. We have not heard anything from the leadership, Mayor, you. In fact, it's been a distraction so much that you call a meeting for yesterday to roast the Humane Society and spend all the staff's energy to prepare for that meeting, take time, but there's been no public meeting like we had for the appraisal district. Well, we're going to have a workshop because of the appraisal valuations. Well, then when the tax notices came out, y'all didn't even post them in the newspaper. The fact of the matter is that the priorities of your leadership, Mayor, is failing the city. There are people that have overdosed in this city and around the city over the last 2 weeks, and it's probably not over. We still don't have an indictment for capital murder for a drug dealer. It's still an ongoing thing. The quantities was probably a small level drug dealer that was posted as being arrested. And the other thing is that we've got all this media that now the taxpayers are paying for. But yet y'all don't put anything out as a public service announcement to help people. You don't have a workshop. Instead, you're going after a humane society. You're spending resources and efforts on that. But let's talk about something else. The proof's in the pudding now. You used your mismanagement from your propaganda media coming out of City Hall. Well, we lowered the rate. Well, guess what? The truth is in the pudding. Now the tax bills are hitting. People are seeing that there's $1.2 million in new tax revenue that everybody's going to have to pitch in and pay for. Is that money going to the additional media? Is it going to these bands going to Real Fest? I think there needs to be some transparency. Y'all say that the Humane Society doesn't answer phones. Y'all don't answer emails. I've sent emails regarding Boeing and the billions of dollars that they're looking to invest in new facilities. I don't even get a thank you on an email. What are y'all doing? But hey, I appreciate the Economic Development Corporation, but we're losing Boeing and Lockheed Martin from our community. You can't, at a time, and y'all have read my email, at a time when they're expanding all over the country from the largest Defense Department budget in the history of the United States, and we're losing 2 defense contractors.
Thank you, Mr. Leftwich. We have Don Ray Leonard.
Don Ray Leonard, District 2. I hope y'all are proud of yourselves. Last night's workshop was a disingenuous smear fest of the Humane Society. Their October 13th request to reschedule was ignored, opening the door for you to plan this attack knowing full well they would not be present. If the Humane Society director was allowed to be present during the meeting, much would have been revealed and your questions would have been answered. Even criminals are allowed to defend themselves. But you didn't give him the courtesy of allowing him to attend. The ambush was intentional. Just like how you ambushed him in commission, right, Mayor? It's my understanding that the Humane Society has 120 days to produce documents and come to terms with a contract. You criticized him for not producing documents on your timeline. Another invalid complaint. Mayor, you can trot people out all night long to give their anecdotal tales. These folks were brought in specifically to criticize and accuse the shelter of wrongdoing. These complaints are daily occurrences in every community. No shelter program is perfect, and there's always problems, but they work it out with the community. They resolve it. Now, Shannon Harville's the director of the health department. She gave a very weak response to the question of who's responsible for the condition of the shelter. The shelter is not a healthy environment for pairing animals with pet owners. But that's not her concern. Believe me, this incompetence is on her watch, and I hold her accountable. I've seen shelters in third world countries that are in better condition. And did you know that Miss Harville was let go from the animal shelter? Has anyone asked why? Yet here she is, the director of animal control. You can't make this stuff up. And finally, the mayor and city manager took a cheap shot at Miss Gamez last night. You tried to have her thrown out of the meeting for standing by the wall. That was the most insulting and reprehensible behavior I've ever seen from city officials in a public meeting. She is the chairwoman of the Animal Shelter Advisory Board, and she deserves your respect. Your shameful tactics made you look petty and small, and you owe her an apology. Typically, when you conduct a meeting and negotiate, you are looking for an exchange of ideas and solutions from both sides. How do you expect to find a resolution with only one side at the table? I pray you give Director Quintanilla the opportunity to clear his name after you publicly tarred and feathered the man, and you darn sure owe him an apology. Your self-serving and one-sided workshop was a disgrace and an embarrassment to the city of Harlingen. You're a bunch of bullies.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Those are the only ones that I have received for public comment. However, as I mentioned before, we have been experiencing some technical difficulties. Is there anyone else that signed up? I think, right? If you'd like to approach the podium, sir, and if you just state your name.
Hi, I'm Mauro Garza. I was raised in Raymondville, Texas, and Kingsville. I want to thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, for allowing me the opportunity to present myself. I'm running to represent the area from Nueces River to the Rio Grande, basically from Kingsville to Brownsville, in the U.S. House of Representatives, District 34. My focus is on safer communities, bringing meaningful work to cities such as Harlingen and Brownsville, and to create stronger families. Many years ago, when I worked for the Texas Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse, I was very instrumental in creating the first council on alcohol and drug abuse. I'd like to expand on that. As we know now, we have issues with fentanyl. Last year, 300 overdoses on fentanyl in McAllen alone. I hope to represent everyone, and I hope to be of service. I want to thank you again for allowing me to present myself in this race.
Thank you, Mr. Garza.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Reyes, did you try signing up? No, I did. Okay. All right. You're here, and I know you. Well, we're having some special issues, but we're glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too. So Raymond Reyes, 706 Nantucket Drive, Harlingen, Texas, of course. Originally from San Antonio, but now I've been in the valley here in Harlingen since '76. So I was here at the meeting yesterday. A lot of interesting things happened that I had actually never seen. Now I'm officially retired. So I'm going to be here a lot, even more. My son we're transitioning over. He's going to take over the operations here. I'm going to chill. You know, him and his wife we're going to have another addition to the Reyes clan. So that's good things are coming. One thing I didn't know the EDC had their little thing going on or whatever it was, but my son is very interested, and he's leaving J.P. Morgan, who he's been there for about 10 years. He's being courted by different, I guess, cities, because he wants to start a logistics company. I reached out to EDC. Nobody ever called me back. I think I spoke to some of the commissioners about that in that regards. I'd like to see him possibly do something here in Harlingen, but, you know, my son is going to be here for a couple of days. He's already got some meetings set up. Another thing in regards to the animal shelter, from the things that I heard, I myself kind of like the idea of, you know, what that eccentric guy in Oklahoma did and stuff. I myself, you know, have been very fortunate and blessed. You know, got some more zeros going to be added into the bank account there, hopefully, under the trust and fund that we formed under my son. And I'm talking to some people about maybe doing something like that myself and stuff. Maybe not as eccentric, but you know, I have dogs myself. One of the kind of stuff I used to do, I'd be gone for exuberant amount of times, months sometimes, but I always have pit bulls, Brindle boxers, and now I have Presa Canarios. They're 150-pound dogs. They're hard to handle, but you know, I've been training dogs for a long time, since the military. So I think that something's failing somewhere. Maybe not the truth is coming out from, you know, from everybody, but I mean, that happens and stuff. I mean, we're all human. Things don't always go the way we want, but as long as we try to work something out and not play any time of blame game, everybody wins. You know, I don't like to deal with nonsense. I'm a businessman. I deal with facts, not fiction. Some of you guys on the commission, I know Gabe's known me a while and stuff. As an IT, I always find out what the nitty-gritty is, as I like to say it. Some people aren't always pleased with that, but the truth always comes out and stuff. So I think we just need to do the right thing for the right reasons, not play any games. We're all adults. So let's live in reality and address the issue and get it resolved and not play any games. My time is up. I apologize for going over, but I got other things I need to do as well. You all have a good evening, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. At this time, I'm going to close public comment unless anyone else signed up and is here to speak. All right. we will close public comment. All right.
Mayor, before you get into it,
Mhm.
I just need to pull item D from 2D real quick.
I'm sorry?
Pull 2D,
2D, okay,
and I'll make a motion to approve the rest of the minutes.
okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just on 2D, I apologize, I should have emailed this to you. I was absent that meeting. That was the day my son was born. My wife wouldn't let me come to the city commission meeting. Otherwise.
Already corrected.
Oh, you did? Okay, you caught that, okay. But yeah, apparently I'd asked a question at that meeting. I was like, I don't want to get in trouble there. So, thank you. I appreciate that for watching out for me. I'll make a motion to approve 2D then.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the consent agenda, we do have items 3A through R, and we are going to be passing on K at this time. Is there a motion to approve?
Give me, if I may, could we pull, what is it, 3F,
Yes, sir?
please?
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, if we could pull 3B, 3M, 3N, 3O, 3P.
You're going to M, N, O.
P. M, N, O, P. And if we could pull 3B as well.
Okay. I had already, I knew that was coming. I was just wondering when it was.
B as in Bravo.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda items A, C, D, E, G, H, I, J, L, Q, and R?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's go to item 3B, consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance on second and final reading amending Chapter 26, Article 2, Lunsey Hill Library.
On this one, I was going to ask if we could table it. And Mark and I, if you look at 3B, it talks about the advisory board. Mark and I are working on an omnibus bill for all advisory boards. So I figured rather than pass it now and then again have to bring it back up and then delete and then do a change, I figured let's just table it. There's a few things in the language that I want to change as well. So I'd like to do that at a later time.
What are you looking at changing on this particular one and on the other boards?
For example, like for me, right off the top of my head, the makeup of the boards, right? So if you recall, during my election and the mayor's election and board's election, the citizens voted to have, like on the airport board, the mayor gets 2 picks and every commissioner gets 1 pick. I would like to make that uniform among all the boards. We're doing that on, I think we've already done that, like on the EDC and something else. And then just trying to create continuity between all the boards. I remember when I first got on, there was questions I had about, what's it called? Absences, and no one could give me a straight answer on what an absence means, what not. In fact, the library rules, I think, did a great job of how they clarified it, but the other boards haven't. So what we're trying to do with this omnibus bill is to create that continuity and to have them all in one place, rather than to have to search, over here for one board and over here for another board. It's one ordinance, every board, everything that relates to the boards, all in one place. But on this one, if you have any questions, I can walk them through them, but I think it'd just be easier if we table it and I can send you my notes for you to consider later.
Yeah, I can work with that, because I do realize I'm gonna have a question or two, so might as well ask that one a little later, not right now.
Perfect, I appreciate that. So I'll make a motion to table.
Just like 1 second.
Can I ask that we approve all of it except for the board information, because there's language in there regarding the
fees and all that? And I'm willing to do that, absolutely. So then I'll make the motion to approve item B minus the language of the ordinance, which I believe is section B. I'll have to look at it.
Regarding the board composition?
All the
compositions?
And here, let me look at it. It's Division 2, Public Library Advisory Board. So I'll make the motion to approve Article 2, all the amendments in Article 2, minus the Division 2, which talks about the
Public Library Advisory Board.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So that is, the item is tabled. And you want this brought at the next commission meeting, Commissioner?
Well, I think,
Oh, he tabled that, okay, I'm sorry. You're not tabling it, it's approving, and you're pulling out that language.
correct.
Okay, got it. And now we have item 3F, consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance on second and final reading, amending the City of Harlingen Comprehensive Plan, One Vision, One Harlingen, Chapter 2, Figure 2.1, the Thoroughfare Plan, by removing the proposed extension of Hancock Drive as a major collector road south of Three Meadow Road to Wilson Road. And my apologies, I don't remember who pulled this.
It was me.
Okay, what other?
Yes. I'm asking my fellow commissioners to reconsider this one. The main thing I would want out of this one is a traffic study. I've been through there, I've seen it, I'm not an engineer, but there's a lot of traffic going through there. Once we open this up, it's gonna get even worse. So that's all my request. Have a traffic study done. Otherwise, we're liable to be looking at a real mess later on once you approve this. That's it.
Luis, would you mind popping up here?
This was requested by the EDC.
Oh, was it?
The amendment, yes.
Because it's the Roosevelt Industrial Park, right? That's what y'all are working on out there? And it was, as I recall, it was to make sure we didn't gum up things. Is that correct?
Good evening, Luis Vargas, for the record, city engineer. So Hancock Drive is in the thoroughfare plan. It plans to be connected as a major collector, but right now is just a local road. And the thoroughfare plan calls for that to connect to Roosevelt, right? That doesn't make sense because there's a house in the cul-de-sac of Hancock. And so it just doesn't make sense to connect that road to Roosevelt. And, you know, right now it just serves as a local road, and I don't think it will connect to Roosevelt in the future because of the limitations. First of all, there's just a subdivision, residential subdivision right now, and there's a house in the middle.
When this,
And
One Vision, One Harlingen, the comprehensive plan was done, was that house built?
I couldn't tell. I'm not sure.
Okay.
What I
You can just identify yourself, Javier.
Javier Cervantes, Planning Director. Yes, that subdivision was already there when that plan was done. Also, something that was not mentioned is that proposed extension of Hancock is just a quarter mile from Expressway 77. So as an additional north-south corridor, it is very close to the expressway to really benefit.
So what you're all saying is, you don't want to extend it. It would be silly to extend it. And you want to leave the land as is so it could properly be developed and not have a major thoroughfare go through it, correct?
That's our recommendation. That's correct.
And that is yours as well, Luis?
Yes, primarily because of the fact that there's already a residential subdivision on Hancock Drive.
And I think that is what Orlando is requesting also with the amendment that they submitted.
Yes.
So I will make a motion to accept as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. We passed on K. Moving on to 3M, consideration and possible action to approve a facility use agreement between the City of Harlingen and the Harlingen National Bronco League for the use of the baseball fields at the Tom Wilson Youth Sports Park. Commissioner?
Yeah, on all of these contracts, I'm essentially taking up 3M, 3N, 3O, and 3P all together, and then the ones that we have, I believe, under new business as well. Is there any language that we can put in there to talk about having these organizations start having tournaments or making sure that they have a tournament as part of their contract? We have the language in there that says that, you know, if there is a tournament, the city would take on more responsibility because it's economic development, it's bringing in tourism and all that. And when I grew up, I remember Arroyo soccer back in the day. Victor Park would be full. I remember growing up, the sports complex or the soccer complex always packed. And so I kind of want to bring back those tournaments and really show off our beautiful city of it. Do you think we can add that language in there, Mark?
But why would you force these organizations to have a tournament? I mean, they should have the freedom and liberty to have one or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the libertarian side in me is coming out.
I think that if we are lending them the facilities at such a low cost, I think the city needs to get the taxpayer needs to get something out of it, and that's people eating at our restaurants, people gassing up at our gas stations. That's how the citizens recoup some of their money that they've invested in the parks.
I can't agree with your thought process.
Mark, could that language be put in there if we wanted?
Yeah, I mean, because it's like a license or a lease, right? So consideration for that, you could charge, you could do that or charge a nominal fee, and you can do anything like that.
Now, Javier, I know some of these organizations are unique. Like, for example, if you have the Cardinal camp there at Vestal Park, which you really can't hold tournaments at Vestal Park. It's not built for that.
Right. There's some areas that you can't, and there's some organizations that do host tournaments throughout the year. Of course, they promote them themselves. The city doesn't help promote any of those tournaments, but we certainly could. But we currently, of course, we don't have that language in the contract. But they do host their tournaments.
Perfect.
One of the things though is that, for example, like Pony, they require a lot from the league and from the city to bring these tournaments down. There's a big expense for those.
But doesn't Pony League, again, from my childhood, I remember Pony League already bringing those tournaments, or was it the Bronco League?
No, it's Pony.
One of the baseball leagues did already do, right?
Right. So they have, and that's what it was. So what they do is they'll go out and apply for the tournament to host it here, but doesn't mean that they'll get it, right? And so, and again, there's certain things that Pony requires from us to have the field a certain condition, restrooms, concession, lights, everything, and so, but we can certainly put in there that I'm not sure we can require them, right? But we can definitely strongly recommend.
Maybe that's the language we put in there, right?
Right.
A little paragraph that says that we would like them to consider hosting tournaments, and that if they were to host a tournament, the city would be open to assisting in one way or the other.
Maybe what we can do is put language in there that they have to apply for the tournament, and they show us proof that they have applied. Whether we get it or not, that's up to Pony.
I like your suggestion.
Okay, instead of getting verification that they apply it, because once again, we're looking at kind of forcing them, putting them in a situation maybe they're not comfortable. Could we just encourage that they look into having tournaments? And along with this, I want to add to it, and from your office to us via email, once we have that up and going, for every league that we have, could we get the name of the person who's in charge of that, the league representative, and where they're from? I don't want an address, just the city.
Sure.
Okay, that's all I'm asking for.
Are you asking for the entire board, or just the president, or?
No, who basically operates the Harlingen National Bronco League, okay, there's asking for these fields at Tom Wilson. There's one person that's in charge, right?
Correct, that's Jerry Hernandez.
Okay, Jerry Hernandez, he operates this side.
Mhm.
Okay, then you go to another board, or another, you go to the Vestal Park, Harlingen and Harlingen Cardinals Youth Sports League. Who operates that one?
That's Abel Castañeda.
Okay, so there we go, now we have two. So we get their names and where they're, just what city they're from, because I'm sure that 95% of these people are from Harlingen, correct?
Yes.
So we just want to verify.
Okay.
Or at least I do, and I'm sure they would like to know that everybody that's on here, we can try to put a name to what they're working on.
Sure.
Javier, I have a question. Do these contracts, they have to be done right now?
They don't necessarily have to be now. They're under an expired agreement. It expired October 1st. But some organizations are continuing to run just because we haven't been able to put them on the agenda. And so they've continued to operate. They have their current insurance and all their documentation. If you want to postpone that,
No, not necessarily. I think, and I'm not sure if the commission would be open to it, but I have lots of questions, and you and I have talked about this. We want to make sure that have the opportunity to maintain and to take care of the fields, and I don't know what those schedules look like for all of the sports. I'd like to have an opportunity to speak with them. I think it might be good practice to have maybe some type of a workshop where we can bring them all in. If that means continuing with the contract, I'm fine with that. But some of these fields, the guys are never able to really take care of them as much as we would like to because they're constantly on the field. I know we're looking at issues with the soccer complex, and then Victor Park. I know that I'm out there a lot with my kids, and those fields are just used all the time, and I get calls from constituents saying the grass is dead or there's issues, and it's hard to get in there to do that maintenance, that true maintenance, if they don't get any rest. So maybe we can have an opportunity. We want them to continue to do. We don't want to stop. Nobody wants to stop the activities, but I think we need to have or I do at least, to have a better understanding. And if the entire commission doesn't want to do a workshop, that's okay. Maybe I'll do it just myself and city staff. But if the commission wants to, then I think that's something that we should do, because that's my biggest concern. And if we are going to go forward with these contracts, I just want them to understand that we may make some changes based on recommendations from staff in terms of maintaining the fields.
One thing that I want to bring up is, and in the summary I mentioned it, so when we took this to the advisory board, we did mention to them that, one was that, right, having several seasons throughout the year and didn't let them rest. They didn't allow us time to maintain them and allow the fields to recover. Other things that we talked about was, of course, the resources that we had for the maintenance of these fields. So we explained them everything that we did throughout the year, as far as maintaining the buildings, the parks, canal banks, everything. And so one of the things that the board recommended was that we increase the compensation to the city. So what we put in here was, which at their recommendation, was to increase the compensation by collecting $10 per registrant. And so we talked to finance, and what we wanted to do is to, whatever we collect goes back to that park. And so that was kind of an incentive that we presented. So if a group has 100 registrants, and we collect $10 per registrant at the end of every season, and then we would code that would go to that park or that complex. So hopefully we would make enough money to be able to put back into the complex, and whatever they need, goals or whatever it needs upkeep. But that was one of the things that we were recommending as part of the changes to these contracts.
Yeah.
Mark, I have a legal question for you. So these were due October 1st, correct? Okay. So all the teams are playing without a contract. If we delay this more, does this expose us to any legal liabilities?
Probably not, but some of the contracts may have provisions where they can be continued until renewed. You also got the Texas Tort Claims Act and recreational park statutes, which apply. We certainly want to get the contracts in place as quickly as we can.
I mean, the other thing is, we could maybe, and again, I don't know what the commission wants to do, but the commission's not ready to have these contracts signed. Possibly we just provide extensions to everyone for, however long, before we're able to get that information. That's my biggest concern, is just to be able to, we want to take care of the parks, and I haven't understood. I know I talked to Oscar a little bit. a little shifting around in responsibilities, and your guys will have more time to dedicate to the parks, and so I think that's fantastic. But, you know, if there's no downtime, how are you able to do that? Then I had some other concerns that we talked about. I get a lot of parents calling me about restrooms and the cleanliness and supplies and things like that in the restrooms, and it's my understanding that's the responsibility of the league, and so we want to just I'd like to have those conversations, because they need to know, you know, what are they supposed to do, what is the city supposed to do, so that way we just have a better experience for the kids.
So, Mayor, would you be comfortable if we gave them a 60-day extension on the current contracts? So you could...
The thing is, the item is not for an extension, the item is for a new contract. So what I would suggest is that maybe you just approve these.
Okay, a new contract for 60 days.
Yes.
Is that better
Yes.
language?
Yes.
Or maybe just given that we are in October and then November's coming and December, there's a lot of holidays, maybe we push it to January?
90 days? 90 days?
End of the year, perhaps?
New contracts for 90 days?
That'll put it through the end of December, the end of this calendar year.
October, November, December. Yeah, taking it to January.
I would recommend we just do like a February, like February 1st, because like you're saying, you're going to have all the tournaments and all that. We're going to be out, we may be out here, right? January, will for sure, we could have all the meetings you want,
Yeah.
knock it all out. But I agree with that.
I'm in no rush, I'm just saying, I mean, let them continue to play and then we revisit it at a later time. I just don't want to say that we're going to be doing it next month when we know we don't have the time.
Exactly.
Okay,
I agree.
so may I make a motion
Yes, sir.
for items 3K, MNOP?
No, not K.
Oh, I'm sorry.
MNO or?
Okay, may I make a motion for items 3M and OP to
L.
extend, was there, an L there also? I thought we voted on, okay, L, to extend to February 1st so that the city can gather information and negotiate.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And Javier, please express to them that we definitely want to continue with the contracts, if there's no issues, it's just we want to be more involved. But, you know, there shouldn't be any concern is the city not wanting to continue or anything like that, because that's just not the case at all. And sometimes when things go a different direction, there may be some concerns, and there shouldn't be any.
And I want to take this opportunity. I was at the meeting where you guys discussed contracts. It got a little rowdy, but Javier and his team did a fantastic job of keeping that ship afloat and moving in the right direction. So I have to tip my hat to y'all. I remember, what was her name? Clinton Solis. I think she's the, she was phenomenal. And so to everyone on the Parks Board and to your staff, you guys did a great job there.
Thank you.
Tell
One
you,
other thing I wanted to
women are-
mention.
And when she had to crack that whip, and she did it well.
Yeah.
So,
Oscar and I met right before the meeting. We were talking about these contracts, and so one of the things that he would like for us to do is to get with the leagues and be more involved, to discuss their bylaws with them and go through certain things with them. And so, so we're going to plan that as well, is be more involved with those leagues.
so back to Norman's point, or the mayor's point, let's set up that workshop whenever you guys can set it up, and
Okay.
we can poll the commission, make sure everyone's available.
Please. And again, I didn't want to commit, I know everybody's got busy schedules, but I think it's important, just so that way we have an understanding when we're getting those phone calls, we know what's expected on both sides, and we can start to do something to improve the fields. Okay.
Thank you, Javier.
Thank you. And that's it, right, on?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay, great. Moving on to new business. Public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance on first reading for a rezoning request from residential single-family district to residential duplex district for property located at 718 North C Street bearing a legal description of Lot 2, Block 1, Shaw Addition. Javier.
Mayor, City Commission, good evening. We have a rezoning request from single-family residential to duplex. This property is on C Street between Lee and Lila. This is a survey of the property. There is an existing house facing the alley. That's the aerial photo. So that's the view from C Street, and that's the view from the alley. So for many years there were two houses in this property. The house facing C Street got demolished. The house facing the alley is still there. And the applicants recently purchased the property, and they would like to add an additional house, an additional unit, but he needs the R2 zoning to be able to do that, the duplex zoning. So that's the notification area. It's in line with the comprehensive plan, it's low-density residential. We did get a letter in opposition from the neighbor to the north. So it's just one property owner that opposed it, which is 3% of the notification. That's the letter that we got. And it's 3% of the notification area, so the supermajority vote is not triggered. But the people that submitted the letter did not show up to the public hearing. Therefore, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval unanimously.
But you all received 2 complaints on this property, 2 phone calls, correct?
Correct.
That's what I saw in the minutes?
Correct.
So 2 phone calls in opposition, 1 letter. That letter did come from one of those people that called?
Correct.
To reiterate, you said there was 1 house on the property, or there were 2 houses already on the property?
For many years, there were 2 houses in the property.
And what happened to the other house?
The house that was facing C Street, it got deteriorated, it became an unsafe structure, and it got demolished. And it was through the program with the National Guard that was done many years ago. So then only the house facing the alley remains, and that's a house in good condition. And the applicants purchased the property recently, and so they're hoping to add a second unit to maximize on the investment.
Okay, so if it's R1, how were there 2 houses on it?
Yeah, that was many years ago. I don't know how the house facing the alley got approved. That was back in the 1960s. No idea how that happened, but that house is there.
Your personal opinion, please?
We recommend approval to the rezoning. Yes, it's low-density residential. It will not affect the neighborhood, in our opinion.
Do you have any other questions for Javier right now?
No. Well, I just want to point out to the commission that if you look at this, the house in the back faces an alley, right? I mean, that's their driveway, is the alley. That's how you pull into the house.
So we do have a public hearing, so at this time, we will open up the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against the adoption of the ordinance? Having, yes? Okay. If you will just please speak into the microphone and state your name.
Hello, my name is Norma Lidan, and my husband,
Mario Lidan.
and we're the ones that purchased and want to make the second duplex. We just wanted to introduce ourselves.
Okay.
We do have another property on that
Into
same
the
block.
microphone, sir.
We do have another property on the same block, and that one's a duplex. So we do own a duplex in that same block. Was it last year? 2 years ago, we purchased another property on 7th Street, which we beautified that area by remodeling those 2, converting those into 2 homes. And we want to do the same thing on this one, because it's facing the street. And I'd rather see a nice little home there instead of seeing debris there. So we will go by whatever we need as far as the permits, regulations, to get them under because if we're gonna do something there, we're gonna build a brand new home. So basically, what we have done throughout the years, we have invested in this city. We like the city. We have done several of these homes, and I guess this is my last one. And I would like to put a nice house there, beautify the area, and with you guys' approval, we can get a nice home there.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the adoption of the ordinance? At this time, we'll close the public hearing, and I will ask the city attorney to read the caption.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Harlingen, rezoning from residential single-family R1 to residential duplex R2 for a property located at 718 North C Street, bearing a legal description of Lot 2, Block 1, Shaw Addition, providing for publication, and ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
Is there a motion?
Motion approved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Item 5, public hearing and possible action to adopt an ordinance on first reading amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38, Solid Waste, Article 1, Section 38-1, definitions by clarifying the definition of a residence, and Article 11, Section 38-36, maintenance of receptacles, covering required by clarifying the maintenance of garbage receptacles and clarifying the land uses that require garbage receptacles enclosures. Javier.
Yes, Mayor, our Public Works Department has been more proactive in the past year in requiring trash enclosures for new commercial or new multifamily development. But we don't have language in the ordinance in case we get challenged on this requirement. We need some language that if they want to see the ordinance, show me where it says I need to have a trash enclosure. Well, there it is. So we have just additional language that we're proposing, defining that a multifamily is more than two multifamily units, or commercial, industrial, and that the Public Works Director can require these trash enclosures. And it goes into language that if they don't have different items there, this is in violation of the ordinance. Having concrete or other materials specifies that that's not in compliance. Must be maintained properly, not trash overflowing. So if you have a business that is, the trash situation is, the trash is overflowing, the Public Works Director has the authority to increase their pickup or the size of the container to avoid the health issues. So that the director will have that authority to increase the business pickup so that we don't have that health situation.
And you're talking about building an enclosure around those garbage bins?
So for new businesses, yes.
Okay, existing businesses?
Existing businesses, if they have trash overflows, with this language, we will be able to increase their pickup.
Okay, but you're not going to make existing businesses build three-walled containers?
No.
Or three-walled enclosures, rather?
No. No, it's
and
only
then
for
should a city garbage truck injure, destroy the enclosure, who's responsible to rebuild it?
I guess Mr. Torres, our Public Works Director, can help me with that answer. I'm not sure.
Thank you,
Under the Texas
Javier.
Torts Claims Act, right, because, Mark, because it's a motor vehicle that's being used, it would be the city. That's my analysis right off the, like,
Okay.
shooting from the hip, it's the city.
Let's hear from the other lawyer.
Well, it's, I mean, there's an exception to the Tort Claims Act for motor vehicle.
Okay, so the city would be
Specific liability would depend on the facts.
always.
I like that.
Always the
It depends,
facts.
but, right, yeah.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Christopher Torres, Public Works Director for the record. So yes, in the event that one of our trucks do damage an enclosure, the city is responsible for it. We do send out a supervisor, they take pictures, they submit an incident report to risk, and they do their assessment, and then they proceed with repairs if need to.
Is there any other questions? Thanks, Chris. All right. At this time.
Some photographs.
Okay.
examples of no trash enclosure and examples of nice trash enclosures.
But this is just commercial, correct?
New businesses and new multifamily, they will
Okay.
be required.
Right, but not in, I thought I saw individual homes. That's not what.
No,
okay.
no, these
What are
are,
those called, Javier?
these are multifamily.
Okay.
These are fourplexes.
Oh, wow.
Javier, you had a question from Commissioner Kinsley on the cost?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, what is one of those costs approximately?
The trash enclosures,
It's part of your evening exercise program.
So it all depends. They have the option of building an enclosure out of wood or block or hurricane fence. So it all depends. You can maybe put it anywhere between $1,200 and maybe all the way to $4,000. There's one multifamily complex currently right now that submitted their site plan, and they did an outstanding enclosure, even without us kind of asking for it. And I was telling Javier that I've seen site plans with enclosures, and that is probably the most expensive enclosure that I've seen so far. But it looks like a very expensive enclosure.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions? This time, there's no other questions. We'll open up the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against the adoption of the ordinance? Having no one here to speak for or against, we'll close the public hearing. And Mark, if you would read the caption.
Yes, ma'am. An ordinance amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38, Solid Waste, Article 1, Section 38.1, Definition, by clarifying the definition of a residence, and Article 2, Section 3836, Maintenance of Receptacles, coverings required by clarifying the land uses that require garbage receptacle enclosures, providing for publication and ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, public hearing and possible action to adopt an ordinance on first reading amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 109, subdivisions, adding Section 109 to 193, parkland dedication as a condition of subdivision plat approval for a property inside the city limits or with extraterritorial jurisdiction to be used for residential and multifamily uses, providing for park zones, providing for payments in lieu of land dedication under certain circumstances, providing for refunds under certain circumstances. Javier?
Yes, Mayor, the logic behind this ordinance is whenever we get a new residential subdivision or a new multifamily subdivision, those new residents are impacting our park system. So this ordinance is requiring developers to assist the city with purchase of land for parks or for using the funds to improve our existing city parks. So basically what the ordinance says is that if the subdivision is 30 acres or more, they have to dedicate 2 acres of land. In my experience, land is so expensive, they always prefer to pay the park fee than to dedicate land. And also, if we run into the situation where the developer wants to dedicate the land, the city commission can deny that request and just accept the park, request the park fees.
And in our packets, you did a comparison?
Yes, there's a survey, and only of the major cities, only Harlingen, San Benito, and La Feria are the only ones that don't have this. And the cities charge different fees. So we're proposing $450 for a dwelling unit, but that could be increased if you feel that that's too low. You could go higher on that. We put an inflation factor in there of at the 1-year anniversary of the adoption of the ordinance, if it's adopted, the fee will automatically increase $25 per dwelling unit. But that also could be higher if you feel that $25 is too low, you could increase that also. So these are just proposed numbers. And then we have a cap of $750 per dwelling unit, which is what McAllen charges right now on park fees. And then we have some language in there that if the developer requests annexation, if the subdivision is in the ETJ, and they request annexation, and we do annex the subdivision, that this will not apply, because in my opinion, it's much better to get property taxes year after year as compared to one-time park fees. So we don't want this to be a deterrent for developers to request annexation. We want this to be an encouragement, an incentive for them to request annexation.
So you're saying that there's only 3 cities that currently do not do this: San Benito, La Feria, and Harlingen.
Of the bigger cities, there's a lot of smaller little towns. Yeah, of the decent-sized cities, that's correct.
So this will not make us anti-competitive.
No.
Javier, how are the maps drawn out?
So we decided to create 4 park zones, which basically will be the northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast, right? So depending on where the subdivision falls, and also in your packet, there's an additional map that shows how the ETJ is being divided, so that way a subdivision in the ETJ is developed, we know exactly where those funds will go. So there will be four park zones, 4 accounts will be set up. And so these are the proposed park zones. So a subdivision is developed here. At the time of getting recorded, that's when we will get those funds, and that's when the accounts start building up little by little. Now, all the existing subdivisions that we have in process, this will not apply to them because they have vested rights. So it will be anything brand new coming in. The way I'm proposing to set it up is early in the process, the subdivision will go before the Parks Board for them to make a recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission on the fees, to accept the fees. And then all the subdivisions will come before you to accept the fees.
Javier, does it have to go before the Parks and Rec? Because I'm concerned about timing for a subdivision.
Because it will be early in the process, it should not affect the timing, because it takes a few months before.
No, but my question was, is it required for it to go to the Parks Board?
No, it's not.
Okay.
So that could be removed from the ordinance.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's also a provision for a citywide park that can take some of the funds even though they're not within one of the zones, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So
regional, right? Like
yes.
one of our regional parks?
Yes.
There is language in there that the city could use all the funds from all the zones and invest it in a regional, yes.
Are those regional parks designated? Like, which are they? What are the regional parks?
It just says regional parks in the
But
proposed
ours, I
ordinance.
think, are the sports complex.
Pendleton,
Lonsdale
Victor.
Park, and Victor Park. And I think Pendleton Park may qualify as a regional park too, just those 4.
I think it's like our destination parks, right? Which
Yes,
would be like
destination
Lonsdale.
Right.
It's all the big ones.
Okay. Also, I put some language in there because sometimes developers provide amenities like Paso Real, and I have a photo. They have basketball courts, they have playgrounds, they have walking trails. So for subdivisions like that provide amenities, the city commission could give a discount up to 50%. So then the developer will have to make a case before you on, look, I'm providing all these things, all these amenities, I'm asking for a discount, and so you could consider that, and you will have the final say on that.
Is there a way we can get that, like, in the ordinance, like, because I want, like, Daniel's always, like, crossing the i's and dotting the t's. Is there where we can put, like, designate the specific parks that are considered the regional parks?
Yes, yes, I can definitely work with Mr. Gonzalez to add that to the ordinance for the second reading. Yes.
Yeah. I think this is a great thing. I know this is something that Norma and I learned about when we took that tour over there at Edinburgh. And Edinburgh was swearing by it, that they get a lot of the money that they use for their parks, they get it from this. So I think it's a great thing.
I think my only concern here is the design of the map, right? I am looking at it, and it's like Area 4 and Area 3, which cover both of our districts, are pretty much built out already, and all the growth's going to be in Area 1 and Area 2 to the south, which, like, is my neighborhood's in Area 2, right? So that would benefit me personally, because if money could go to McKelvey and money could go to, and the other one I want to make it does is your Rangerville one. That one I think needs a lot of money as well, right? But I was wondering if we could redesign the map to be based on and to give each area the equal amount of land that is developable that would fall under this plan, right? So, yeah, like I'm saying, District 4, if you look, or Area 4, if you look at it, most of that land's commercial. Like, we're gonna get like, part of it's gonna be built into the Roosevelt Industrial Park. Part of it is like the John Deere area, right? So that part will never be residential. I understand we have like the Industrial Way, which is the new subdivision there, right? But if we can base it off of, if we look at land and acreage that can be developed for residential and break up the areas that way.
Yeah, this map can be changed. If you want to draw what your ideas are, maybe.
Oh, no. This is data-driven, homeboy. Like, no, this is not a me thing. This is a y'all thing. Right?
It's one of those NIMBYs, not in my backyard.
Yeah.
I'll get with my bosses here and try to.
I imagine you could do it using GIS, right? You're going to look at our area zoning for everywhere, and then you're going to go off of land that hasn't been developed, right?
I'll get with my bosses here.
But it can be done. We have the greatest staff in the state of Texas.
But I don't think they have a GIS.
The thing is,
we talked about that at one point, didn't we? And we don't have those capabilities. I want them, but maybe the county wants to help us because we don't have it. We'd looked at it before with Set Hill, wherever Set Hill is.
and I think it also should include population as well, because if it's just land, I mean, land it doesn't use itself, it's the people that use the parks, and so I think that needs to be some sort of, if we're gonna do that, we need to factor in the population as well.
What if you just split it up in the districts? Does that not help?
That's based on population, not land, and you were talking about.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that if we do that,
That's
right,
population.
District 2 and District 1 would be at a disadvantage because we have older, and District 3 for, District 3 to a part, which is already all essentially built out because we're the older neighborhoods.
Are you including ETJ, what's it, the ETJs?
ETJ is correct. That's a different ballgame, right? But I want, if we're going to use this basic map of the 4 areas and then the ETJs are based off the 4 areas, it's going to change, right?
Is this so that way it can improve the parks in each district equally? Is that what we're
Correct. Well,
trying to
it's
do?
in each area equally.
Okay.
Because the areas are different from the districts. Like my district, District 2, is in Area 4, Area 3, and Area 2. So being in Area 2, I get a benefit, right? Because looking south, like for example, off of Ed Carey, that's all developing, right? So my local park, like let's say Hunter Park or McKelvey, they get the benefits of it. But people in the older side, like Fair Park and all that, they don't get the benefit. They're an older neighbor because they're an older neighborhood, and that part of town, that area, is already developed.
But they still have the regional park right there, right? Lonsey Hill, so they would still be able to improve that no matter where it's being built.
If it's specifically designated for that.
So I wonder if we could just have some kind of rotation for the regional parks in each of the, I'm just trying to make it, I don't, if it's possible, I'm all for it. I just don't want to delay it because they are not able to get it
Yeah, because
done.
I think there's a regional park basically in all the areas, because we do Pendleton, then we do the sports complex.
Everything, each year you does, I
Yeah.
mean, this is up to the commission, but I guess the first question is if we can do what Commissioner Lopez is asking for, because we want to make sure we can get this moving, and if so, then I don't see anything wrong with it, but can we do that?
We can meet, and then we can meet with the Parks Director, and I have a map that shows all the subdivisions in process, and try to give you, for the second reading, a possible alternative.
That's what I was gonna suggest, you prove it now, and then we'll try to come up with something
Sounds
for the
good.
second reading.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can definitely provide you an option B for the second reading for your consideration.
That's perfect. Just report back at the and then we can move forward. If it's a great idea, sometimes great ideas can't be implemented.
So
if we
it
have
will not be
limited
on the
resources.
consent agenda, it will be on the regular agenda.
Sounds good. All right. Is there any other questions for Javier? All right, and
Public hearing.
Yes, we'll go ahead and open it up for a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against the adoption of this ordinance?
Hello, Dustin Moore, 1030 Ferguson. As Javier had mentioned, most cities do this, and I think it's a great thing. I guess one thing just to caution is there is one city that's near this area that has gone high and right with it, and it can add 150, 200,000 to the development cost. And so, I think the 450 is a good range. I think Westaco's 600, but just something to keep an eye on. When you make a developer do it, it gets directly passed on to the landowners, versus you could say add 450 to a permit fee, and that gets rolled into a 30-year mortgage that you really don't even see that additional cost. So maybe there's another way, but like I said, the developer is going to roll a 100-lot subdivision. That's 45 grand tacked on to already $2 million of development. So I think it's good. I know our office is right off Bass, and there's no parks on the west side of town, hardly. It grew up, but like I said, all the parks are more towards the main part of town. So just something to consider. It can get out of hand. 450 becomes 750, becomes 1,000 over the years. That just something to keep in mind there. And like I said, when you charge a developer, it will go directly to the purchaser. That's how it's going to work. But maybe there is another way where you could add it in permit fees or meter fees or something. Just something to keep in mind. Thank you.
I think it'd be great to share whatever your ideas are with Javier, and then we can revisit them again at the next reading. We value your opinion, and if you get any other opinions along the way, we'd love to hear them. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak for or against? Okay, at this time we'll close the public hearing. Mark, you read the caption.
An ordinance amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 109, Subdivisions, adding Section 109-193, Parkland Dedication, providing for a requirement for parkland dedication as a condition of subdivision plat approval for a property inside the city limits or within the extraterritorial jurisdiction to be used for residential and multifamily uses, providing for park zones, providing for payments in lieu of land dedication under certain circumstances, providing for refunds under certain circumstances, containing a severability clause, providing for publication, and ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
I'll make the motion to approve, subject to the discussion we had on the maps.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Wait. Oh,
And this will-
sorry, I'm going to amend that motion real quick, and to include the language that Commissioner Pettis said, that we designate which ones are going to be our destination parks. If you can also
Yeah,
include
we'll make sure to pull out that.
the regional parks.
And bring it back on the regular
Yes.
business, not
Yes.
on the consent.
Yeah.
Correct.
And at this time, we're going to take just a 2-minute recess, and then we'll start up again with item 7. Up here.
All right, good.
I'll try to be quick.
I told you this is going to be long when you get me looking at ordinances. This one figured that out like day one. They look out, doing an ordinance. It's going to take a while with that. I think it's really good that it feels like this commission really looks through each ordinance and seems like we're all like,
Yeah, we know.
To what?
Yeah, it was a compliment.
I took mechanical drawing in high school. I'll be your back.
Let me hit the restroom as well.
I need a hit of sugar.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Right, whatever.
Oh, about the trash, yeah, I'll give you a call tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Okay. your hair turn gray. Or fall out. You're up. Ready for Halloween? Trick-or-treaters coming.
This is my midnight snack on Wednesdays.
Yep.
Freaking tired. I don't know why.
Well, I really wanted to go to this weekend. My nephew's pretty birthday. I mean, I can move the trip. It's kind of
Well, if you can't make it later and you just want to donate your trip to me, and I'm all for it.
You know, there's tacos in there.
Yeah, I did a new sugars.
It's part of me. What can I say?
Did they get it up and running?
No, the link to his deal was cut, so we just can't get through.
So how come we could do it yesterday at the workshop?
It was a link from YouTube that actually cut him off.
Oh.
For some reason, we set up a new account,
Uh-huh.
and then the link just cut him off, and so
I'm so cold.
we're gonna post it.
And that complies with our requirements?
Oh, yeah.
Right now, you guys are working. I mean, always, like.
That's all. I was just like, go with it. Yes, trust me, I know. Yeah, I was kind of hoping to. I was gonna. From here, I was heading to that event over at the corporate thing. I'm excited. The Bruise and Barking, or whatever the frick it's called.
And so you wasn't invited?
I thought it was the only one that would have a problem with the chairs.
Italy got canceled.
What?
Plane Italy got canceled because of a national baggage strike.
So what's gonna happen? Are you gonna be able to go? Or?
Well, I'm either gonna try to reschedule it or fly to the city here to cancel it altogether. Just have to look at my apples once I get home tonight.
Okay.
Pretty good chances I'll be here. Maybe I'll just go somewhere on the weekend or here next week. I just have to look, because the problem is if I try to move the trip, then everything else that I'm rescheduling is gonna be really expensive in this last month.
Hey, your neighbor, remember the one that speakered up? We were talking about
Oh, no, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wait, text me. Well, I wear a coat.
That's what I'm gonna bring you. I'll let you know.
I don't
That's
take
what
that
that's
sort
what I
of.
was asking about the first, because we had that
You never know.
discussion. I was like, well, maybe I can tack it out at the end.
No, we're gonna meet on the first.
They're talking about.
I didn't, I mean, when he did that, but there's other ones that are studying like how over the I want to do the audit or the other ones are fine. But I think
She's on the food, get her. Well, she's not gonna.
Mark did it as the chairperson. Because I can't see her. She's not. Showing.
you know, the minutes that I asked that question, I was like, that's a very good question that I asked. Like, whatever commissioner asked that question, they did a great job. I agree with that question.
Slipped in, and when I wasn't looking, pretty sure his seat was empty.
Well, look in the minutes, it says that it says I was absent, and then apparently I asked a question, right? Someone else asked it, and I was like, I didn't ask that question. That was a good question. Whichever commissioner asked that, yeah, it's a real good question. I agree. I like that.
That's why they thought it was yours.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, how much me not correct this, right?
That's what I,
Time is now 7:28, and we are back in session. Item 7 next, we have, excuse me, public hearing and possible action to adopt an ordinance on first reading amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 111, Zoning, Article 5, Section 111-119, Yard Setback Regulations by establishing a section which allows a special exception to be granted in the minimum setback requirements for carports. Javier?
Yes, as you may know, a carport, normally we have a 20-foot front setback where you're not allowed to build anything. So many times we get requests from citizens that want to build a carport within that front setback, and so we always tell the owners that they cannot do that because we don't allow structures within the front setback. So we had an interest to possibly allow them. So there is a provision in state law to allow them with a special exception. It will have to go before the Zoning Board of Adjustments, which is a different board from the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Zoning Board of Adjustments is a quasi-judicial board. They're like judges, and their decision is final. So if this is approved, the property owner will be able to apply for a special exception. They will have to give us schematics of the proposed carport, and the schematics will go before the board. We will notify property owners within 200 feet, and the neighbors will have an opportunity to object to the request, and the board will look at the schematics. They will look at if there's any opposition from the neighborhood, and so they could approve these special exceptions to start allowing carports within the setbacks. And I have some, so here's some examples of carports within the front setback from another city that could be allowed if this ordinance is adopted.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of calls about these carports in my district. I know Frank's reached out to me because he's gotten the same calls. I spoke with Javier. Javier brought forth this, I think, fantastic solution McAllen does. And what I really like that they do is that they put out a video out there as well. Because when you build these carports, because we're like in a windstorm alley, we have to get it, there's special regulations, you got to get like an engineer to sign off on it. It's a little more involved than you would think just for literally 4 posts and a roof. But I think Javier found that perfect middle ground where we protect the city's interests, but we make it easier for city residents. I only had one question on this one, Javier. It's because I don't understand this language. If you look at your bullet point 1, it says, the ordinance establishes a criteria that the Zoning Board of Adjustments shall use to grant a special exception for a carport. This is a sentence I don't understand. There's no vehicular access to an area behind the required front building line that would accommodate a parking space. What does that mean?
Not sure. We just what we did is we copied the McAllen code, so I will need to look into that.
Yeah, I just, and then if you look at bullet point 3, it says 400 square feet, like the carport cannot exceed 400 square feet. I like that one. Of the 2 photos, the one on the left, you can park 2 dualies essentially. In my mind, that's sufficient space. Is that 400 feet, or how much space is that?
That's probably like a 30 by 18. Yeah,
So is that more than 4? Sorry,
yeah, less than 400.
Okay, so it'll fit. That's
Yeah.
good.
20 by 20 is 400.
Okay, perfect, yeah. If it's 20 by 20, that works for me, and that'll fit 2 dualies, right? Oscar, what do you think?
Yeah.
It's how I measure things
intended
by
for
cars.
this is intended to be for a two
Long bed dualies, that's what I'm talking about. Long bed, super crew, or full crew, whatever. Dooley's, okay. If you can get a clarification on that one sentence,
You did tell me.
unless someone else understood it.
What's
Did you
that?
understand?
I'm sorry, I was side
That-
conversation here.
That sentence, did you understand what it was trying to say?
Initial, what you,
There is no vehicular access?
oh, no, yeah, I'm with you on that, and I think he's gonna go back and figure where that came from.
Yeah, so this, we just basically copied the McAllen code that they've had in place for 4 or 5 years. Yeah, not really sure what they meant there.
Okay, then I think we should approve it.
We did change from the McAllen code because in their code is to run by the owner.
Yeah.
So if there's a different property owner later on that purchases the property, the new owner has to process a new special exception. In this ordinance, we changed it to run with the land. So.
When they sent it to me and they had that, it seemed like a racket. Because you're gonna keep hitting every property owner for this, or they're gonna have to tear it down.
Yeah,
I
so
asked them-
it'll be like zoning, it'll run
Perfect.
with the land.
Okay.
And so, just so that I understand, this, you said there's no appeals process, so it never comes to the commission, it's just, okay. And everybody understands that and is okay with that? Okay.
So staff will be recommending approval to the board, and if there's no opposition from the property owners, I will expect the board to approve the request. So if they do, then now they can come in and get a permit to build a carport.
If the board rejects that special provision or denies it, they can still appeal to the district courts, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Just
Correct,
not to the city
not
commission.
to the city commission.
Okay.
District court.
And so, is there a way that if staff is not recommending approval, that you can inform the commission, just so that way we're aware?
So the idea is that we will work with the applicant so that staff is always recommending approval. So
Okay.
that's the goal.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, because we value your
Mhm.
input, and so if there's an issue, then typically there's a reason behind it. And so
Yes.
for those instances, I'd like to know, but as long as whatever is going to this board is already being recommended by staff.
Yes, because we always try for the applicant to succeed.
Wonderful.
So we'll be working with them on, okay, maybe fix your schematic so that the carport fits more with the house, so that we can recommend approval, and if there's no opposition, the board should approve it unanimously.
I think it's great. I'm glad that Commissioner Lopez and Morales are bringing this, because we want people to be able to do what they want in their home and build in their home, and I think that's the American dream, right? To be able to do what you want in your home.
Shade
and-
for the vehicles, yeah.
Yeah, and, yep.
Me? Yeah. Okay. I already have a carport.
All right, okay, wonderful. So if there's no other questions for Javier, we'll open this up for public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against the adoption of this ordinance? Having no one here to speak for or against, we'll close the public hearing and ask the city attorney to read the caption.
An ordinance amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 111, zoning, Article 5, Section 111-119, yard setback regulations, by establishing a section which allows a special exception to be granted to the minimum setback requirements for carports, providing for publication and ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to Javier getting a clarification on that language, and once you get the clarification, if you can dumb it down for me, so that I can understand.
Or maybe,
on the first read.
or maybe remove it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, however you
Or-
think.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, consideration and possible action to approve the preliminary construction plans and final plat with conditions for the proposed Garrett Acres subdivision bearing a legal description of 15.54 acres of land out of Block 36, Stewart Place, subdivision survey 298, located at the northwest corner of Doan and Garrett Roads.
This is a 3-lot proposed residential subdivision on Garrett Road inside the city limits. And so those are the proposed 3 lots. One there, and then kind of like a long entrance to a back property. So that's the 3rd lot. Photos of the property. So they're proposing to widen the ditch to comply with the drainage requirements, so the way we set up the subdivision development guide, those have to go before you for approval. We have the approval from the Cameron County Drainage District number 5. So we just need this approval so that the subdivision can go forward.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Javier. Item 9, consideration and possible action to approve the preliminary construction plans and final plat with conditions of the proposed Tres Caminos subdivision bearing a legal description of 19.28 acres of land out of blocks 11, 12, 13, and 14, Survey 295 Stewart Place subdivision located at the southeast corner of Doane Road and Mayfield Drive.
So this is a subdivision in the ETJ, but I'm trying to convince the developer to request annexation, so I'm working the case here. And so it's a multiple, single-family residential subdivision. And also they're proposing to widen the ditch to comply with the drainage requirements. And there's the approval from Cameron County Drainage District number 5. It's just outside the city limits, so hopefully the developer will request annexation. I'm working on it. Will be a nice addition to the city.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 10, consideration and possible action to approve the facility use agreement between the City of Harlingen and Rio Valley Amateur Adult Soccer Association for the use of the soccer fields at Vestal Park and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. Javier?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, City Commission. I'm Javier Mendez, the Park Director, for the record. I'm assuming you want to impose the same requirement on this one as well?
In fact, it would be the same thing for, which letter are we on?
10,
11. 10.
Yeah, 10, 11, and 12. Just yeah, 10, 11, and 12 would go with the same motion as we did before.
And that is the extension, correct?
Correct. Till February.
All right.
It goes down to 14.
It does?
But
Well, no,
those
those
are
are-
part
that's
of
different.
swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, consideration and possible action to approve a contract with Elizabeth Rose Flores to provide water aerobics classes at the Pendleton Park Pool and authorize the city manager to execute that agreement.
Yes, Mayor, City Commission, this is an agreement, it's a renewal for the water aerobics class at Pendleton Pool. Sergio, can you pull up that? I want to show you all something. So she's asked again if we could, if she could use the entire pool for her water aerobics. And so Albert is with us. He's our aquatic supervisor, and so he came up with a suggestion. So this is where water aerobics has their class, and so what we've asked them in their contract is to leave lane 1 and 2 open for the lap swimmers. And so what Albert's talked to some of the lap swimmers, and so his suggestion is that have them swim this way rather than this way, and so that way we could close this off. So all this area here is shallow. This deeper end is between 4 and 5 feet, and so that's why water aerobics likes to use this area. So I think we can accommodate both groups by having water aerobics here and then having the lap swimmers go back and forth. Right now, I think this is 61 feet, and this is 75 feet. So it's about 14 feet that they'll be swimming less, of course, less distance. But that's something that we were suggesting is part of the consideration.
Do we need another pool?
I'm sorry?
Do we need another pool?
No.
No.
Okay, assuming we had all the money in the world, do we need another pool?
Every park would have a pool.
Okay, okay. So it all comes down to money.
Javier, I do have just one concern, and you would know, because, or whoever whoever's speaking to we have a lot of athletes in our community and that utilize the pool, and have you spoken to them about how that impacts their training? We've got Ironman people that are really, they utilize these pools, specifically this one, and is their training impacted by having the shorter distance?
I'd have to ask Albert, but this is, her class is Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Right? Yeah, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for 1 hour in the morning. I think it's from 9 to 10. So there is, Albert has shared with me, there is groups that do go in there swimming at that time of the day. But he has visited with some of the lap swimmers, and this is one of the things that he suggested, and I'm not sure if it came from them or from Albert. But
come on up here.
It came from them.
Oh, that it's okay then?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, this suggestion came from them.
Okay.
And so,
All right, I'm going to hold you to that. It's just because they take their training very seriously, and we have these, and it just seems that it's just the one, and I don't see why it's such a, but
Right.
if this is a compromise and everybody's happy with it, then great.
now, so the language that we have in there right now is to close off lanes 1 and 2, only if there is a lap swimmer there, or if the public is using it. So then she would use from lanes 3 towards the shallow end, and that's what we've been doing currently. But again, she's asked us for lanes 1 and 2 to be able to have her class, because her class is growing. And so we also suggested to her is maybe doing a second session, and having it 2 hours in a day.
Yeah, but if they're good with it, then I don't see that sounds like a great solution, so kudos to you guys. Is there any other questions for Javier? And so,
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to the language proposed by Javier.
Okay.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 14, consideration and possible action to approve a contract with John Tucker, Harlingen Aquatics team to use the Pendleton and Victor Park pools to operate a youth swim program, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
So this is the same, Mr. Tucker has asked for additional time in the pool. He's asked for an hour, I believe it's from 4 to 5 for his junior group. It hasn't been established yet. We've added it to the contract a few years back, and I don't believe he's ever had it established. And so staff is recommending that we don't increase the time in the pool for Mr. Tucker. The other request that he's made is that instead of having 6 days out of the year for a possible meet, swim meet, he wanted 12 days out of the year, and so we said no to that as well. So basically what we're recommending is the contract as it's been last year, and so we'd be collecting $200 a month from him. And so we did look at his numbers. I know that Commissioner Perez last year had asked about his numbers, and he wanted us to consider it after a year to see what the participation is. And so what we've done is Albert's collected numbers starting in August, and really the numbers, and you know what, let me hand this out so y'all can see it. So Mondays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, he has an average of about maybe 10, 11 students. On Fridays, he doesn't have anybody. He doesn't have students on Fridays. So we were thinking about maybe reducing that time for him, and just making his contract Monday through Thursday. And so Friday would be open to the public.
Do you have an extra copy of that? We need one more for
Yes.
Commissioner Perez. No, for Commissioner.
The one guy who requested it.
Sir.
Commissioner.
I got one ready.
Here, Matt. Here you go. Oh,
Thank you.
I'll just keep both of them.
And so you can see, the first row, that's Monday, and then the last one before the total, that's a Friday. And you can see across, it's pretty consistent. On Fridays, he doesn't have any students at all. And so, I'm thinking that we ought to suggest or approve the agreement, just so he's in the pool Monday through Thursday.
I agree.
Have you discussed this with him?
I'm sorry?
Have you discussed this with him?
No, we have not. His request, like I mentioned, was, at least I don't think so, I'm not sure if we mentioned, because I got these numbers today, and so we're looking at this Friday. But he has been requesting, of course, more time in the pool, and so with no increase as far as compensation. And we did invite him tonight to the meeting. Now, we did take this to the Park Advisory Board. The Park Advisory Board did recommend the agreement as it is now, or as it was last year. So they're just recommending to renew it with no additional hours in the pool.
Make a motion to approve, subject to Javier's changes, proposed changes that he made today.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion carries. Item 15, consideration and possible action to authorize the city manager to award a construction contract with Go Underground LLC for the Pickens and Davis stormwater system improvements, which was designed by Civil Systems Engineering under RFQ 2021-14 for the City of Harlingen American Rescue Plan Act. Luis?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Commission. My name is Luis Vargas. I'm the city engineer for the record. Civil Systems Engineering was one of the 9 previously selected firms under the grant by ARPA, and the project will replace approximately 3,600 linear feet of stormwater underground pipes in Kelly Street, West Davis Street, Pickens Avenue for the subdivisions surrounded by Matts Avenue, Newcombs Highway, and McPetridge Street and Business 77, capturing the drainage of approximately 33 acres. I've included a location map. I hope you got it. These improvements were identified in the 2008 Drainage Master Plan, and they also include 2 discharge outfalls or drainage discharge structures to the city-owned Newcombs ditch.
That's the one to the right, right?
Correct, yes. And so we received 3 bids for the project construction with Go Underground at $1,964,329. The second lowest bidder was CNA Builders, $1,997,385, and GST Construction with $2,530,000 with 530. And the city recommends the selection and award for construction or the construction contract to Go Underground as the lowest bidder. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
No.
And this has been budgeted?
Correct, yes. It will be paid with the ARPA funds.
I need some clarification here. This is obviously, it was identified on the 2008 Drainage Master Plan, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, the one who did the design was CSE, correct?
Correct.
Does anybody remember when the last time they gave us an update? Because they're still working on the
Drainage Master Plan that will be ready on May of next year, 2024.
Isn't this
Yes.
part of that?
No.
No.
This is completed and done and turned in.
Okay.
So the drainage master plan gives you a more or less of a conceptual design of citywide of how the storm system should look. But when you do a design for an area just like this one, you require a separate design, which we're doing from the 2008 drainage master plan. Next year we'll have an updated citywide conceptual plan.
Okay, well, this drainage master plan is not taking into effect the 2018 and 2019 floods, correct?
Well, yes, because it was designed to the 25-year event as far as the underground pipes. So that's why it required a design plan. In other words, the 2008 didn't have those events, but this design does include those criteria, for example. Per se, yes.
Okay.
Are we doing 50-year? My only concern with this one, I just want to make sure it's big enough, right, to handle.
It will be big enough to handle the 33 acres that we'll capture. And like I say, it's designed according to our stormwater drainage standards. We have 50-year detention ponds. Our standard calls for 25-year stormwater underground pipes. And then the surface infrastructure, just this curb and gutter and inlets, it's 100 years. So those are the, I guess, different levels of sizes of the infrastructure. This one complies with our standards, updated standards.
Oh, great.
Is there any reason why we didn't have any other additional bids and that some are incomplete?
No, not really. It was advertised as we normally do, and we just received the 3 bids. One had a CIQ not signed, but I think that was intentional. It was probably a mistake, or not sure why that wasn't signed.
Is that because it's kind of really close in cost?
No, I don't believe so. These are forms submitted by the contractor. One of them was probably not included in the bid packet.
You guys are smartening up. You didn't put y'all's grading, your grading criteria in here.
Right.
These are sealed bids, so I don't have written.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Luis was trying to dodge me on that one.
No.
Yeah.
Incomplete?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
We'll make a motion to approve.
One question. Did you vet these 3? Did you vet them?
Yes, we had references submitted, and we believe that Go Underground is a contractor that can complete the project successfully. And yeah, we did get references.
You happy with this?
Okay.
It's your district. Oh, yeah, that's my street.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other questions? Thank you so much, Luis. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, consideration and possible action to authorize the city manager to reject all bids for the Lozano Detention Pond Phase 1 improvement design by Half Associates under RFQ 2021-14 for the city of Harlingen, American ARPA. Is there a motion to approve, or is there questions? I think everybody knows. All right.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 17, consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading amending the Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Master Fee Schedule, establishing a new float entry rates of the annual Christmas parade. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? Thank you. Sorry, Alexis.
Great
We love you,
speech,
Alexis.
Alexis.
Item 18, consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading amending the Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Master Fee Schedule for Youth on the course fees and authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with youth on course. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jeff, you're amazing. Item 19, consideration and possible action to execute a contract between Valley Initiative for Development and Advancement of VIDA and the Harlingen EDC. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We've got, and item 20, consideration and possible action to approve a contract between Instafil and the Harlingen Insightful and the Harlingen EDC to conduct and prepare a target industry analysis for the Harlingen EDC Corporation. For
Make a
London.
motion.
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for all the wonderful work over at the EDC. Item 21, consideration and possible action to amend the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget and authorize the city manager to obtain 3 new residential solid waste operators for the Sanitation Enterprise Fund. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 22, consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading amending the Code of Ordinances, Article 2, Division 2, Section 656, to provide for appointments and composition of the Animal Shelter Advisory Board. Mark.
Yes, basically there's an issue with the current city ordinance, and that is if you it requires you to look at the Texas Health and Safety Code and the Code of Ordinances in order to constitute the proper members. Under the Health and Safety Code, you have to have a veterinarian, you have to have a county or municipal official, who's one person whose duties include the daily operation of the animal shelter, and 1 representative from an animal welfare organization. Our present ordinance is silent to that. We actually have everybody on that except the veterinarian. But one of the purposes of this is to bring those consistent, so now we incorporate those elements into Subdivision A. The other thing that it does is it talks about the purpose of the advisory committee is supposed to make sure the animal shelter is being operated consistently with 823 of the Health and Safety Code, right? And because there's actually criminal penalties if the shelter is not operated that way. So there's housing and sanitation standards set forth in Chapter 826. There's animal control officer training that has to be adopted. There's technical requirements as to the health and safety of the animals. So one of the things I'm proposing is that the chairman of the board be the veterinarian who has the technical experience to lead that discussion among the committee.
Motion. Oh, sorry.
The only thing I'll just add is I think that we are missing the representative for the animal welfare organization. I think that one of the appointments would qualify under county or municipal official, but we can look into that. But I do think that we're...
It's at the end there.
Yeah, no. You said we already had them on the board. I think that we're missing a few. But nonetheless, this is statutory. We have to, it has to comply. Is that what you're...
As the board composition, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Question, why is this coming up right now, not before?
I'm looking at all the ordinances. This just came up because of...
See, you know what I'm objecting to, the timing of this.
Well, I mean, regardless of the timing, it's a criminal violation to violate the health and safety code. So certainly we have to bring it into compliance. I mean, whether things are coming up now or not, we have an obligation to fix it and to bring it in conformity with state law.
Is it typical for us to dictate who's going to be the chairman of one of these boards?
No, that's a suggestion, and it's driven by the purpose of the Animal Control Shelter Board that's set forth in 823, which is to comply with the state standards in the code.
I mean, I'm all for the idea of a veterinarian being on the board, obviously. I mean, it's past due, no-brainer. But as far as selection of a board chairman, in my mind, that's something that is the board's responsibility, not ours to dictate.
Absolutely, and it's a suggestion, but it's up to this commission.
And I think we can strike that, and leave it up to the board to make that decision. But to go to Commissioner Morales' point, I think that the previous commission, I know that the three of us were not here when this was passed, to change the composition of the board was made with good intention. It was because the board had not been meeting, but after looking at it closer, and this has been, I think, for more than just recently. I think I looked at it maybe a month and a half or 2 months ago, and I know that Mark and Daniel are looking at all of them, but this one is one that has to be is required to have this type of makeup, and so that's why it's important to look at it now instead of now we are all aware as a commission. And in order to comply, it needs to have these folks on the board.
So right, with drives, that is the section states a person commits an offense if a person substantially violates the section. An offense is a Class C misdemeanor. So it's not the sort of thing we can just kick down the road. We need to address.
That wouldn't be something you'd be suggesting, would it be, Commissioner Morales?
No, I'm curious about something else. What I'm curious about is the previous commission accepted the ordinance, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Which means we were led right to it, correct?
We were what?
Led right to it?
No, what I said was I think that it was changed with good intention because there was concerns that the board had not been meeting, and it was difficult for them to meet because there was these requirements of specific board members, and so the commission, which I was not here, but you were, Commissioner Morales, and changed the composition, but did not have the authority to do so at that time. And so now we're rectifying that by changing it back to where it needs to be.
The only thing I'm gonna ask, probably from Ms. Amanda and her staff, is to find out what day we changed this. I wanna review that. Because this is something that I have buckled against for a while, which boils down to this. My definition of we were led to it is, here we go, like today, we get this as we sit down, okay? And there's other instances we've had the same situation. Review this, we're ready to vote on it. That's my issue, okay? So that's what I've asked for in the past. Bring us the material ahead of time. I know we had issues with our emails and stuff like that, but this is something that didn't pop up just yesterday. This was ongoing. Obviously, Commissioner Lopez and Mark have been reviewing this. What else is gonna get us by surprise? That's what I oppose. That's why I object, okay? I can see this, okay? I can agree with this. My problem now is, why the heck did we drink the Kool-Aid last time? This was done last year, the year before?
This was something then that I'm the one that actually changed the ordinance on this because like the mayor said, we wanted to, remember the Animal Advisory Board wasn't getting a meeting or anything because we could never get those officials put on the board. So then I spoke to, we had a legal team last time. So then when I said, can we change this, the legal team that we had before, that's no longer with us, now we have Mark, they okayed it. And then that's why we went ahead and went for it. But now that it turns out that it actually violates state law, and it's here, that's why we have to change it, just to be in compliance with state law.
Well, just to be clear, it doesn't strictly conflict, but you have to read them both together. So unless you're looking in both places, you're not gonna catch it. Right?
We're paying a pretty bundle for that law firm.
The old work, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can't, and I'll just say this, and I say this all the time, we can't worry about the things that happened in the past. We just need to move forward, make the corrections. I think this has been a unique week. I know that when I was here earlier, Gabe was just getting his printer to print. There's been some issues with technology and having everything put together, and which is why today, for the first time, I think, and I don't know, since I've been here, I'm using this binder instead of my tablet, but these guys are smarter than me, obviously, because they're with their tablets, and I thought there would be some items that were missing. So we definitely, I think staff does an amazing job, and you know, if there's room to improve, there is with everything. But I think that this is a unique week in terms of getting documentation and stuff to us. But having said that, we do need to make these changes because it's required for our city attorney.
I agree with you, Frank. I wasn't expecting this one on the agenda either, so I was just kind of as surprised as you. As I told you earlier on the library board one, I would like to do it all together at one time. I already had the conversation with Mark earlier today, and it's because of that statute, that criminal penalty. That's the only reason I'm even looking at this, because when I even saw it on the agenda, I looked at our charter, and we can't even approve an ordinance unless it's in writing and in front of us. And so I have your exact same concern. And as we talk about that charter committee, I would like, when we get there, to have them put in there that we, as a commission, have to have everything at least 96 hours. Any ordinance has to be in front of us 96 hours before we do a vote, or so many days before we do a vote. Because I'm the same way. I don't like things being like this, being thrown at me the day of. So.
Concur. How would the selection of the veterinarian be done? I mean, would that be done by the board?
That's up to the discretion of the commission.
Or we?
Yes.
Yeah, the commission, so the commission can appoint any of the members of the board, so, which is a little, you know, unique in that there's 7 voting members and there's 4 required. So then they'll have to determine who's gonna, you know, and I think that we can figure that out. But there's no requirement to say, you know, you need to have a municipal county person and you need a vet and so on and so forth.
Again, I think dictating chairmanship position is a bad route to start walking down. I think that's the board's job.
So I'll make a motion to approve, subject to scratching E.
Wait, I have a question.
Commissioner, may I suggest that you just scratch the part where the licensed veterinarian shall serve as the chairman and leave everything else that the chairman can vote, make motions and second motions?
That's correct, and that's consistent with Robert's Rules of Order on committees.
So that works with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a question. So, are you telling us that our current ordinance on this is not compliant with state law?
No, I'm not. It doesn't conflict. You have to read them both together. Okay, so under the rules of statutory construction, when you read things, you read them together to see that they don't, read them in a manner that they don't conflict. So what you would have to do, but you have
So
to...
it has to be more hand in glove.
So you have to read them both together. And what the problem is that you really need an ordinance that you just look at that one ordinance to see all the requirements. So, you follow what I'm saying?
No.
So there's nothing in the ordinance that prohibits...
I was sick that law class.
There's nothing in the ordinance, the current ordinance, that prohibits the commission from appointing the people as required by the state statute.
Correct.
Okay, so it doesn't conflict, but you just have to read them together in order to, in other words, if you're just reading the state statute, you also have to, I mean, if you're just reading the local ordinance, you also have to read the state statute to properly constitute the board, right?
So
does that make sense?
Is that the line?
Vaguely it makes sense.
Don't worry,
so
the constitutional interpretation, I have a case on it, is the biggest hassle when you have 2 laws that look like they don't agree with each other, because the presumption is that our Texas legislatures actually know what they're doing when they put pen to paper.
And you have to read them, consistently if possible, and you only say they conflict if they actually conflict.
Okay.
It's complicated.
So there was a motion to approve striking part of E and leaving in E just that the chairman of the board reserves the right to, or has the right to make motions, second motions, and vote on all matters. Is that
Correct,
right?
so the motion, just to clean it up, is to approve this ordinance, subject to striking the words in E, the words that will be struck as the licensed veterinarian shall serve as the rest remains.
Got it.
I have
That's
a
what
question because honestly, I'm just reading this. Why does the mayor have to have two appointees? Why can't it be just like this? For the animal shelter? Okay,
That's the one that you guys changed the
Okay.
last time. And which I think is what you're going to do on all the boards.
Based on the way the previous commission, y'all's commission, did the airport board, where you said the mayor gets 2 picks and then every commissioner gets 1, I'm just following that because I think the citizens overwhelmingly agreed with that language.
but the reason that changed was because the mayor at that time had 100% control of the board. Okay? That's the only reason. I didn't vote for, and I would not have agreed to switch every board to where the mayor would have two appointees and us would have 1. We should, in my opinion, do it the same way we have it here. 1 mayor and 5 commissioners. 1 board with everybody having a say.
But the problem with that, I agree with you on that. The problem with that is that if you have 5, and then you got the mayor, that's 6, and what if there's a tie?
There's not a tie because the person who's the chair does not vote. You still have 5. You have 6 people, 1 does not vote. Whoever is the chair of that committee, of that board, does not vote, and you still have 5. The only way you're gonna have a tie is if somebody's missing, and then it's 2-2, that's when the chair would be able to vote.
But then that would be robbing somebody, like one of us, if they are, because usually the way it works with the boards is that they take turns taking the chair. So that means it would rob us of our representation on the board, because that person can't.
So let's just take a step back, and that's not correct, Commissioner Morales. The chairman of the board has the right to make motions and second and votes on all matters, and that happens across all boards. So what you just said is inaccurate. So there would be issues, and I think that is the reason why when I wasn't here and you put on the ballot for the voters to vote on the airport board, that was the reason for that. And that's how we have adopted it for the EDC board, and we are trying to be uniform across the board. So I'm not sure what you're trying to get at, but just as long as you understand that we just went over striking E to correct it to show the chairman of the board votes. And so, having said that, are you still having that same concern?
I am concerned because obviously I didn't read that every board in the excuse me, the boards that we have right now, where the chairman does vote, because I haven't come across to where there's a tie in the meetings that I've attended. But it's okay. I understand.
So.
And the balance I've come to, because I've had that same concern, Frank, I'm paranoid by nature, is that whatever they do still has to come to the commission, and then the commission, we get a vote, and the mayor does not. So the mayor, whoever it may be, gets a little more, I guess, influence on the board level, but at the end of the day, it still has to come to us to approve everything that's done. So, and she doesn't vote unless there's a tie anyways. So, that's the way, in my mind, I've rationalized it.
And I know, planning and zoning, I know Nick does not vote.
Nick does not vote, correct.
As the chairman. So I don't know if I don't think it's common for everybody, but maybe it needs to be.
I think
as we develop all this now, but I mean, there is disparity. I don't think in the Parks Board, I don't think Adele votes as the chairwoman. So, I think it's as we go towards this normalizing all of them in the ordinances, I think it's something needs to be tucked in there.
And I think the reason for that is a lot of these boards base their rules on Robert's Rules of Order.
Right.
Robert's Rules of Order are primarily rules of assembly for private corporations, private meetings of stockholders and things like that. And in the main section of Robert's Rules, which relate to assemblies, the rule that the chairman doesn't vote is because when you have a chairman who's got the microphone, with a group of, let's say, 400 stockholders or something like that, they have a power of the chair, and there's a thought that that chairperson will influence the votes of the assembly. That's the reason that vote is there. If you look in the back of Robert's Rules for committee, where you're talking about more like a commission, in a committee setting, the chairman often does vote, because he doesn't have the same power over a group or assembly that in a small, there's more quality, basically, when you're sitting together in the committee. But because of that, there's a lot of misunderstanding as to whether or not Robert's Rules require the chair to vote or not, and I think that's the root of the problem. Just my opinion.
And I think when, during the meetings, there's a difference. They have the authority to vote, they can vote, but I think most of the times on these boards, in the meetings, it's unanimous, and there's no issue. And so I think that may be something that you have observed. And when there is something that there's going to be, maybe the majority going one way or the other, then you'll see the chair voting. But most of the time, I know that I try to attend all the airport board meetings, and I don't think I've ever seen anything that hasn't passed unanimously on that board. But should they have to, then McShan could vote. The same thing with the EDC. I think the EDC is really works well together, and it's rare that there's no, it's not unanimous. Now, anyhow, I don't know the way that it's been in the past, and so maybe that's some things that you have observed. But nonetheless, we're spending a lot of time on this. Is there, do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve? We had from Daniel, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 23, consideration and possible action to cancel the Harlingen City Commission meeting of November 15th, 2023.
Mayor, we're not going to have a quorum present here at City Hall, so we will have to cancel that meeting.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to board appointments. We'll start with Commissioner Kinsley.
None, ma'am.
Daniel?
I have Adrian Galvan in the back for Veterans Board.
All right. I was just told that Commissioner Lopez did not have so.
And Adrian's been tenacious, man. He's been on me about it, so I love it. I love his energy, and I know he's going to do fantastic on the Veterans Board.
Awesome.
Must be a Navy guy.
His application in my bag.
Oh, really?
2 meetings before he can give it to you.
And
You have his application?
did you have someone, Kinsley? Commissioner? No?
No,
Okay. And then I do have one for the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee, and that will be Dr. Mitchell.
Dr. Watson?
Shelley Mitchell.
Okay.
None for Commissioner?
None.
I do have one. My pick on the TERS board expired, so I would like to appoint Jeremiah Davila to the TERS board.
You said Joe?
Jeremiah.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 25,
Commissioner, just to clarify on the TERS, it was for 1, 2, and 3, correct?
Yes.
Item 25, executive closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 551.071, attorney consultation, Section 551.072, deliberation regarding real estate, and Section 551.087, economic development related to Project Spur. And item 26, executive session consultation with city attorney pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.07 regarding reasonably anticipated litigation. And 27, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The time is now 8:21, and we are going into executive session.
I think this is going to be a long
Wow. Not on my end, I don't know. Take it off.
Time is now 8:51 p.m. and we are out of executive session and back in open session. We do not have any action items. Is that correct?
No, we do
Oh.
for project.
Sorry. Item 27, discussion and action to approve possible settlement agreement with Routeware, Inc. regarding disputed contract claims. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is that okay for you, Mark? Okay. All right, and that is it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.